Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of the Damn You Two Sports Talk Show. This your boy Ralph Sneaks coming live to you another episode. Uh Go ahead, hit the subscribe button over there at YouTube, hit the notification bell so you can get notified when new content drop. You head over to Instagram, damn_YouTube_ sports talk. That's where it's at on Instagram. You can follow that. Links in the bio where you can subscribe to. Ralph_Sneaks. That's me if you want to follow my personal page to see what's going on this, that, and third. Damn You Two Sports Talk over on Twitter. That's where it's at over there. But another episode, man. We're gonna get to it. Um, it's a lot of ugly, sloppy play in week one of the NFL. A lot of quarterbacks who didn't, who underperformed. Going and looking at the passing yards, this, that, and third of these quarterbacks or whatever. I understand it's week one, but they didn't come out the gate firing and clicking on all cylinders. But one team that just can't seem to get right, and it's the Carolina Panthers. And I'm sitting there looking and wondering exactly what the hell is going on in Charlotte. I hear different things because I got people from there. Not when I say people, I'm not talking about just friends and associates. I'm talking about I got actually family and lifelong friends in family that's from there that still live there. A lot of them. So they're heavily into sports. I hear things when I talk to them. And as I've stated before, I'm a Panther fan. I mean, it's sad to say, but I was born and raised around it. So, I'm a Panther fan. And they just can't seem to get right. So I'm wondering, should this guy, David Tepper, consider selling the Carolina Panthers? Because this team has just been ran straight through hell since he took over in 2018. Now, Jerry Richardson was, the former owner. He had to sell the team because he was, it had some involvement, of sexual allegations and racism in the workplace. So he ultimately sold the team. David Tepper was the guy that bought the team. Jerry Richardson since then is passed away. He died. So, but due to his involvement in those sexual assault allegations in the racism in the workplace, he was forced to sell the team, and he did. David Tepper was the guy that bought it. If you don't know, David Tepper came from having some ownership in the Pittsburgh Steelers. David Tepper is the third richest NFL owner. For people that don't know David Tepper, look him up. He's the third richest owner in the NFL. He's above Jerry Jones. Now, a lot of these owners you don't know. Jerry Jones, of course, because he all over the damn place. He's an owner, but he's looked at as a damn near like a player, the way he all over the place talking. So you know him. Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots. But other than that, you don't really know these NFL owners. And now you're starting to hear about David Tepper a little bit. Well, I just mentioned him, but you're starting to hear a little bit about him. Not for good things that's going on in Carolina. They know it. They starting to know him for the fucked up shit he's doing over there. Yeah, let's be clear. He's fucking up over there. And a lot of times what it is these people like to micromanage. They don't trust and believe the people that they hire to do the job that they hired them to do. So they have to micromanage them. They getting too hands-on. They don't give guys the opportunity to do the job that they were hired to do. Now, me personally, if I hire you to do a job, I'm going to get out the way and give you a chance to do your job. Now, if I see where you ain't doing your job or you unsuccessful at doing your job, then I got to step in for the sake of the business and let you go and find a proper replacement that can come in and do the job that you couldn't do. But before I do that, I'm going to give you a chance to do the job. I'm not going to micromanage you from the time I hire you until the time I get rid of you and then bring somebody else in that's a yes man and do the same thing to them. Because that's what it seemed like was going on over there in Carolina. It's a whole lot of yes men being brought in Whole lot of micromanagement going on over there. And see, the thing about it is when you micromanage, you leading a group of people down the wrong road. So it ain't just you going down the wrong road. You taking a whole organization with you down the wrong road. You taking the team, the actual players on the field, you taking them down the wrong road. You taking the coaching staff down the wrong road. You overriding people in your front office. You taking them down the wrong road. And see, you're not even going to get the blame. People going to point the finger at the coach. They're going to point finger at players. They're going to point finger at the GM. When it come to free agent signings, when it come to trades, when it come to drafting, they're going to point the finger at these guys. But these guys can only do so much if they being micromanaged by a guy that a lot of people don't know that's doing the micromanaging, because he ain't trusting and believing the guys that he hired to do the job for the position he hired them to do. So the Carolina Panthers the last winning season they had was in 2017. This was before David Tepper got there. They went 11-5 that year. So that means since David Tepper has been the owner of the Carolina Panthers, they have not had a winning season. And he took over, I think, in 2018, 2019, somewhere in there, one of those 2 years. So he's been there about 5-6 years. And they ain't had a winning season in 5-6 years. This is what's taking place from head coaching standpoint since David Tepper been in place in Carolina. Yeah, Ron Rivera there. The last year he was there was 2019, I believe. He went 5-11. In comes Matt Rule, and you give him a 7-year deal, straight out of college. You give Matt Rule a 7-year contract, $62 million, 7-year, $62 million contract, straight out of I think he came out of Temple. He was head coaching at Temple. Came straight from college to the NFL, no NFL experience whatsoever, not even as a coordinator. He comes straight from the college sideline to the NFL sideline as a head coach and get a 7-year, $62 million deal. The first season he go 5-11. The second season he go 5-12. And then in 2022, they fired him after a 1-4 start. Then you go with Steve Wilks to finish the season out after you got rid of Matt Rule after week 5, after starting the season 1-4. You got Steve Wilks, who was already there as the defensive coordinator. He's there. He steps in and takes over as the head coach the rest of the way. And he goes 6-6. Now, see, the thing about that is he goes 6-6. The team had more and better energy up under Steve Wilks. The team rallied around Steve Wilks, played hard. The team seemed to be rejuvenated around Steve Wilks taking over. So, obviously, Steve Wilks brought some type of energy and intensity to the team that wasn't there prior to him taking over when Matt Rule was the head coach. They go 6-6 the rest of the way. They finish 5. He go 500, 6-6 the rest of the way. They go one game from the playoffs. One game away from winning the NFC and making the playoffs. Winning the NFC South Division and making the playoffs. It came down to the final game of the season against the Tampa Bay Bucks, in which they were in Tampa. And if I'm not mistaken, they had a lead in that game at the half. But they ultimately ended up losing the game down the stretch and missed the playoffs, because the only team that came out of that division that year was the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they won the division. Now, if Carolina had won that game, they would have won the division, and they would have made the playoffs. So, following that season, instead of making Steve Wilks your head coach, because that's the guy the team rallied around and played extra hard for and seemed to enjoy and seemed to like the fact that he brought some type of intensity and energy to the team that the team needed that they didn't have before. So, instead of them considering Steve Wilks, they didn't even consider Steve Wilks to return as the head coach, even though there were players on that team that expressed the desire for David Tepper to hire Steve Wilks as the next head coach. They ignored all of that. But instead, you go and hire Frank Wright, the former Indianapolis Colts head coach, after they fired his ass. He didn't last 1 year. He didn't last one season. The team goes 1-10 under Frank Wright. He gets fired. Then Chris Tabor takes over and takes the team 1-5. So the team finishes 2-15 last year, in which Frank Wright got a 1-10 record of that 2-15, and Chris Tabor, who took over, got the other 1-5 record. That was Bryce Young's rookie year. Now they was talking all this shit about how Frank Wright was supposed to be the quarterback guru that was gonna come in and that was gonna get Bryce Young started off on the right track, this, that, and the third. But see, this is the stuff you don't think about. If Frank Wright was such a damn quarterback guru, why the hell the Indianapolis Colts didn't keep him when they knew they was gonna draft a rookie quarterback? So if he was that damn good of a quarterback guru, why the hell didn't the Indianapolis Colts keep him to mold their young quarterback that they were about to draft, who ended up being Anthony Richardson? So if he was that damn good of a quarterback guru, why the hell Colts didn't keep him to mold their young quarterback that they was about to draft, which, like I said, ended up being Anthony Richardson. But instead, David Tepper goes out and hires this guy. 1-10 under Frank Wright, and he got his ass fired. Then the interim coach come in, Chris Tabor takes over, and he go 1-5. So they end up with a 2-15 record with Bryce Young as a rookie. See, this is the kind of decision making that set the franchise back. And I ain't done that. Hold on, that ain't it. We got a timeline of miscues what David Tepper been doing in Carolina. There's a whole timeline of that shit. And as a result, they ain't bounced back from none of it. They ain't rebounded from none of it. So they hired Matt Rule in January of 2020. 7-year, $62 million contract. He didn't have a winning record at all. (5-11, 5-12, and 5 after a 1-4 start to the 2022 season. He didn't have a winning record at all. That was a complete disaster when it came to that. Didn't even come close to working. Just a complete shit show. Then they hired Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator. Remember, Joe Brady was down at LSU with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. When they won the national championship at LSU, he was down there for that. So they bring him in, which you know, it seemed to be a good thing to do at the time. But after bringing Joe Brady in, they signed Teddy Bridgewater. Because prior to going to LSU, Joe Brady was he was in the Saints organization. So that's how he was familiar with Teddy Bridgewater. He was in the Saints organization when Teddy Bridgewater was down in New Orleans as a backup. So they already knew each other from that short time period in New Orleans. Joe Brady left New Orleans, took the offensive coordinator at LSU, and he comes back to the NFL as offensive coordinator with Carolina Panthers. After the Panthers hired Joe Brady as offensive coordinator, they go and sign Teddy Bridgewater. 3 years, $63 million. See, this is what a rebuild should have started, right? They should have just been bringing in a bridge quarterback to get you from year to year until you done stacked up and got solidified at all the other positions where you feel comfortable either signing and managing the cap too. They should have been doing this until you felt comfortable signing a veteran quarterback or to a deal, to a 3-4 year deal, or going and get in the draft and getting your franchise quarterback. At least they will have something to work with. But that ain't what they did. 3 years, $63 million is what they gave Teddy Bridgewater to come over there with Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. Then they drafted Derek Brown 7th overall in that draft, you know, which wasn't a bad pick. Derek Brown balling his ass off. Now he suffered the injury. He out for the knee injury. He done for the year. So he out of there this year. Knee injury, done for the year. Teddy Bridgewater do 1 year in Carolina, and they trade him to the Denver Broncos for a 6th-round pick. You can't make this shit up. They gave him 3 years, $63 million, trade him to follow. He played 1 year, trade him the following season to Denver for a 6th-round pick. Then in that same offseason, they traded for Sam Darnold. They traded a 6th-round pick in 2021 and then a 2nd and 4th-round pick in 2022 to the Jets for Sam Darnold. Not only do they trade for Sam Darnold, once they make the deal for Sam Darnold, they pick up his 5th-year option and he gets a guaranteed 18 point something, almost 19 million. Then they go into the draft and they take J.C. Horn, the 8th overall pick out of South Carolina, the cornerback. J.C. Horn, since being drafted by the Carolina Panthers, has been off the field more than he's been on the damn field. And to make matters worse, the Denver Broncos had the 9th pick, had the very next pick, the 9th pick, and they took Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain is a Pro Bowl corner, top 2 corner, top 3 corner in the NFL. He just got his money. So what you think Carolina gonna do with J.C. Horn? Based off the decision making they done since David Tepper been there, they gonna pay him like J.C. Horn's a top 10 corner. Now I'm not saying that he doesn't have the capabilities of being a top 10 corner, but you ain't showed shit because you ain't been on the field to show shit because you've been injured. He been on the side. Well, he on the sideline in street clothes, but that's not in the field to play. He ain't in the uniform on the field playing. He on the sideline in street clothes dealing with injuries more than he on the damn field to play, playing in his uniform. So that pick ain't been a hit. And like I said, the Denver Broncos had the very next pick, picking 9th. They take Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain, top 3 corner in the league. All a Pro Bowler, all pro corner. Just got his money. Now I think Jalen Ramsey since then has jumped over Pat Surtain as being the highest paid corner, but for a brief, maybe 2 weeks or a week or whatever it is, Pat Surtain was the highest. Now Jalen Ramsey got his new deal. That makes him the highest. I think that's how it is. Then, AJ Terrell in there somewhere. I'm not sure exactly the order, but those are the guys that's up there. Then later on, you fire offensive coordinator Joe Brady after going 5-7. After a 5-7 record, you fire Joe Brady. Then the following year, you trade a 2024 conditional pick to the Cleveland Browns for Baker Mayfield. So the Sam Darnold shit ain't work. So now you go and get a Baker Mayfield. Then you go and draft an offensive lineman in the 1st round out of NC State with the 6th overall pick. Iki, I can't pronounce his name. Iquanu, I can't pronounce his name. He's an offensive lineman out of NC State. But I don't think he's playing bad. I just don't think he's playing up to a 6th overall pick level. Then the Panthers trade Christian McCaffrey to San Francisco for a 2023 for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick and a 2024 5th round pick. Baker Mayfield gets released. Then you had the worst trade, or arguably one of the worst trades in NFL history that I can remember. If it ain't the worst, it's one of. The Panthers had the 9th pick. The Bears had the 1st overall pick. The Panthers traded all the way up from 9 to 1 with the Bears. They give up DJ Moore, the 9th pick, the 61st pick in that draft, a 1st round pick in 2024, and a 2nd round pick in 2025 to move from 9 to 1. That's how the Bears ended up with Caleb Williams this year. The Panthers would have had the first overall pick, but it goes to the Bears in this deal, and that's how the Bears ended up selecting Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. You can't make none of this shit up. If you think I'm lying, go and look it up. Replay this back and go and look it up if you think I'm lying. So since 2019, they done had 5 coordinators, offensive coordinators. So if you do the math on that, that's a coordinator every damn year. North Turner, Joe Brady, Ben McAdoo, Thomas Brown, and now Brad Isaac. You currently got him there now. You just hired Dave Canales, who was a coordinator down in Tampa. You just hired him to be the head coach. And you go down to New Orleans and start the season 0-1. And not just start the season 0-1, but you go down there and get the hell beat out. You get all kind of foots put in your ass down in New Orleans. I'm talking about they come out there, Bryce Young's first pass attempt was an interception. I'm talking about they come out there and look like they ain't touched or seen a football all offseason. Nobody looked like they wanted to play. Everybody looked like they was hung the hell over. No energy. No consistency. Well, I take that back. The only consistency they had was fucking up. That's it. They fucked up the whole game. Don't even sit here and act like the game got out of hand late and at 47-10, and the game was 17-10, and it just got out of hand in the third and fourth quarter. No, the game got out of hand in Carolina's first possession. Carolina's first pass attempt was by Bryce Young was intercepted. It got out of hand. From that point on, it got out of hand. Now, I don't know about nobody else, but I understand the lack of certain players not playing in preseason because you want to prevent and limit injury at all costs. But what I'm trying to sit here and understand is, and somebody help me understand it because I can't understand it to figure it out to save my life. But why in the hell are you holding back a 2-15 team? They went 2-15 the previous year. If it wasn't for that ridiculous ass trade with the Chicago Bears that they did, they would have had the first pick in the draft. They were 2-15. They were the worst team in the NFL by far last year. Wasn't even close. So a 2-15 team, you just hired a new head coach, which means you got a new coordinator, which means you're coming in with a different scheme. Why in the hell didn't Bryce Young play more of the preseason? Why the hell are you holding this guy out if he is not injured in preseason? His ass need to be out there because he went 2-15 last year. He went for 2 fucking games last year, and they acting like this dude won 9-10 games as a rookie and had his team in playoff contention or won the division at 10 wins last year and made the playoffs. That wasn't even close to being the case. His ass need to be out there. I don't give a damn if he is the franchise. You ain't show me shit in your rookie year that make me believe that you was the franchise. Now, don't get me wrong. We had other situations and holes on this team that needed to be filled. We had a lot of lack of weapons on this team, but you ain't do a damn thing in 17 games to make me feel comfortable enough to hold your ass out of preseason after only winning 2 fucking games the previous year. Now we got a new head coach with new offensive coordinator and a new scheme, and your ass sitting out of preseason games. Now I understand you at camp, you at practice, this, that, and the third, but that's practice. That's not live game reps. That's practice. And I do understand that these teams have joint practices during camp and all this, but that's not a live game. That's practice. That's in which you have a red jersey on in which you can't get hit. You're not worried about no pressure in practice because you got a red jersey on in which it's a non-contact jersey. You can't get you. They ain't gonna hit you. I don't give a damn if you are gonna be going up against other teams who ain't playing their starters. At least you getting live game reps to get a feel for the new offense that you about to be in. Coming off a weak-ass performance your rookie year at a 2-15 record. I don't understand why the hell this guy wasn't playing. I'm not saying he had to play all the preseason game, all 4 quarters of all the preseason games, But this dude should have been out there playing at least. He should have been playing a quarter each game. Then he should have been coming out playing the first or second series in the third quarter. Now, why he ain't out there, I don't know. But it showed in week 1 because your first pass attempt was picked off. I'm looking at the replay like, who the hell are you throwing that at? The receiver's looking around like, who was that intended for? They ain't on the same page. They don't got chemistry. He got bad body language. He don't look like a leader. He don't look like somebody people feel comfortable playing for because he don't bring an energy. Now you can talk that shit and say what you want about Cam Newton. They see you let a lot of people let the media fool you about Cam Newton. Yeah, Cam had his days and times where he went to the bench, put a towel on his head or whatever. But you got to understand is when you are the guy that's expected to uplift other people, sometimes you got to take time to yourself to gather yourself because you're going to have yourself together in order to help and have somebody else carry because you got to carry them. So if you got to take a moment to yourself to sit down on the end of the bench, not because you're trying to shade nobody, just because you're trying to get yourself together because they know that you got to be together and for this team to have the best shot to win because you're going to have to carry other people as the leader. You're going to have to build other people up. You're going to have to energize other people. This dude don't look like he don't energize nobody. He don't have a high intensity level. His energy level and his vibe ain't there. So people got to feed off of that. And as the quarterback, you will look upon as the leader. They can talk that shit about Cam, but Cam talked that shit on the field. He fired his guys up. He made guys want to talk shit to other guys and have high energy and play with a high intensity level. But you look at Bryce Young, the body language ain't there, the energy ain't there, the leadership role it don't look like it's there. Guys just look pissed off that he ain't there. And this is the guy that we got to supposed to play for and is supposed to be our leader of the team. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I understand people say, you can't go and blast your quarterback in the media and all. You're supposed to speak highly of your quarterback, this, that, and third. But I'm just telling you, from what I see, it look like motherfuckers don't even want to play down there with it. Now, what they gonna have to do is you can't let this thing get out of hand this year. What you gonna have to do is, if Bryce Young ain't got his shit together by week 3, you need to bench his ass. And you really need to consider this offseason whether this is our guy or not. Do we need to get another quarterback in here? Or do we just need to build up everywhere else and use him as just a bridge quarterback year to year since he already on the rookie contract and it ain't costing us a whole lot compared to going out signing a quarterback in free agency and just start building this, just X out the quarterback position because we ain't worried about him. Let's just start building this thing up the right way. Let's pick an area to start. First of all, let's pick a side of the ball to start on. Are we going to start building this thing from the offensive side or the defensive side? If we're going to start on the offensive side, let's go ahead and get this offensive line straight. Let's get this running back room straight. Let's get these offensive weapons solidified. If we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball, what we going to start at? Are we going to start in the secondary? Are we going to start up front? If we're going to start up front, let's go ahead and get the defensive coordinator in here that we need for the guys that we got and start this thing up front in the trenches. Stopping the run, getting after the pass rusher up front. And then we're going to add the pieces we need to add on the back end. Then we're going to add that dynamic linebacker. We're going to find that high-intensity linebacker. We're going to find that to be the coach of this defense. Because the way they got ran through down in New Orleans, that shit wasn't even funny. I don't know when they arrived in New Orleans. It looked like they got straight off the damn plane, took a bus straight to the damn to the dome down in New Orleans and kicked off. It don't look like they was down there prior to the game. It looked like they just landed, maybe an hour before the game, got off, took the bus ride from the airport to the dome, suited up, went out there on the field as is, and got all kinds of hell beat out of them. Then after the game, got their ass back on the same plane and took their ass back to Charlotte. That's exactly what it looked like. There's no way in the hell you come out here and open your season up with a 47-10 loss. with the additions that you made to this team in free agency, along with having a new, I understand you got a new head coach, new coordinator, new scheme, that's the whole purpose of why you need to be out there having them reps in preseason. I don't give a damn when you got drafted first overall last year. You had an half-ass year last year. Take your ass out there in preseason. I would much rather you fuck up in the preseason than to get out here in the regular season and fuck up when it matters. Because that's exactly what's going on. I don't give a damn how many picks you throw in the preseason. As long as you learning not to do that shit the next go round, that's what the preseason is for. You go through your rough roads during the preseason. Those stats in the preseason ain't going to count. So if you're going to make mistakes, that's where I'd rather you make the mistakes at. And then we come back to practice, turn the film on, then go out there in the field and execute without the mistakes that you made in the preseason game. That's what's going to get you better and prepare for the regular season. Although the talent that you're playing against in the preseason ain't going to be necessarily the same talent that you're going to go up against in the regular season, at least you get live game reps and understanding of what to and what not to do under the new system and new head coach and coordinator. Now, this coach that's brought in here, Dave Canales, he's brought in there specifically for Bryce Young. This guy, whoever the Carolina Panthers hired to bring in as a head coach, they're brought in for Bryce Young. Look at what the Carolina Panthers gave up to the Chicago Bears to trade up to get Bryce Young. When you had C.J. Stroud sitting there, you had your pick at any player with the first overall pick and you took Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud went the very next pick to Houston. So whatever you do is for Bryce Young. The weapons you brought in was for Bryce Young. The offensive lineman that you signed, which was Robert Hunt, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, and then Damian Lewis, formerly of the two offensive linemen, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks. You brought both of those guys in. I think Robert Hunt got 5-year, $100 million deal. And I think Damian Lewis got 4 years, 50 or 60 million, something like that. So you signed two offensive linemen to help protect Bryce Young. You brought in a head coach that was specifically brought in for Bryce Young. You see what Dave Canales did with Geno Smith out in Seattle the first year Geno took over. You see how Baker Mayfield looked last year under Dave Canales. And Baker Mayfield came out firing on all cylinders to open the season up against Washington. So Dave Canales was brought in for Bryce Young, looking at the previous work he's done with Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. And I'm trying to understand what the hell did Carolina spend money on to not have no cap space? They look like complete shit on both sides of the ball. Now I get it that you didn't even have a first round pick this year. You had to trade back into the first round and take the wide receiver Xavier Legette out of South Carolina, I think, with the last pick in the draft. They can't get shit right in Carolina. And a lot of this probably got to do with the micromanagement of David Tepper. Too much involvement. I'm not saying don't have no involvement, but you can't have too much involvement. You got to trust in the guys that you hired in the position you hired them for to do what you can't do. Do you know since 2019, David Tepper was on in 2019. Since then, Carolina's had 10 different starting quarterbacks. 10 different starting quarterbacks since 2019. If you think I'm bullshit, let me give you some names. Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, Kyle Allen, P.J. Walker, Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, Taylor Heineke, Will Grier, Sam Darnold. And out of all those quarterbacks that I just named, there's only one quarterback that had a winning record during his time starting. Only one. And you will never guess who it is. But I'm going to tell you, it's P.J. Walker. Out of all them quarterbacks that I just named that the Carolina Panthers have had started since 2019, P.J. Walker is the only one that has a winning record. And his record is 4-3. So he barely got a winning record at 4-3. Everybody else got a losing record. You can't make none of this shit up. Now I get and understand how if you want to move off of Cam Newton, because Cam Newton was the face of that franchise for years. Cam Newton was the best quarterback that franchise has had since being in existence. You did go to a Super Bowl with Cam Newton. You had a 15-1 season under Cam Newton. Cam Newton won an MVP. Cam Newton was the most dynamic player that year. He put the team on his back, and he carried them that year. Then the injury happened to Cam against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think T.J. Watt was the one that hit him in his throwing shoulder. And the Cam Newton that we knew was no longer. Cam Newton struggled from that night. Matter of fact, he was hurt throughout the duration of that season. He just couldn't. It was to a point where he probably couldn't throw the ball 15, 20. He couldn't throw the ball 15 yards down the field. So that version of Cam Newton was gone after that. Cam Newton was never the same in Carolina after that. Now, Cam Newton got out of Carolina and ended up getting an opportunity in New England. And you can talk that shit about Cam all you want to, but when Cam was in New England, before he caught COVID, Cam Newton was having an MVP-like performance. He was putting up MVP-like numbers. Then he caught COVID. Then that was the NFL season during which a lot of weird shit was going on. You know, people catching COVID. They was moving games up. They even had games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays that year. They had to move games up. Players were inactive because of COVID. So I think if you was going to move off a fan favorite in Cam Newton, if you were going to move off that kind of player that meant that much to that franchise, I think you should have already had, you should maybe have kept him another year, went in and got you somebody, rolled off of him slowly. You brought Teddy Bridgewater in and then got rid of Cam. Like the transition didn't make sense. The transition, you scratched your head and looked at the transition of how they was trying to move off and do things under the new era of David Tepper. It just didn't make sense with a lot of shit they were doing. It seemed like they were coming in, and you obviously needed to rebuild because you're under a new regime now. But they wasn't trying to rebuild. They was trying to half-ass do everything. Sam Darnold at that time made no sense. Baker Mayfield at that time made no sense. Those were the years that you should have been rebuilding. But instead, you were trying to save face and trying to win with half-assness. Now, if you're going to tear it down and rebuild, tear it down and rebuild. Don't half-ass do it. Because now you got to double back and do double the work. You got to fix what you messed up. Then you got to rebuild on top of fixing what you messed up. When you should have just tore it all down in the beginning and started rebuilding from scratch. That would have made much more sense than the wasted years of bringing in a Teddy Bridgewater, trading for a Sam Darnold, trading in for a Baker Mayfield. And now you're trying to speed up the rebuild process by trading for a Bryce Young, which you did. But you just hurt yourself more than you realized it. You're not going nowhere anytime soon. So why not take that time to rebuild the right way? You can't speed up a rebuild. If you're going to do it, do it. Now, you may have a player or two that come in there. Okay, let's just say the Houston Texans. They were completely looking to rebuild once they got rid of, JJ Watt gone, traded off DeAndre Hopkins. Then you eventually moved off of Deshaun Watson after all this allegation and shit going on. And then the assets you got back from the Deshaun Watson trade, along with bringing in a CJ Stroud and then hiring a D'Amico Ryans as your head coach, you ultimately sped up your rebuild by making good decisions. Now, you can do that, but you can't make bad decisions and think you're going to speed up the rebuild by a bad decision. You can make good decisions and speed up the process of your rebuild based off how good of a decision you made. Now, if you fucked up and made a bad decision, that's going to do one or two things. That's going to either do nothing for you or that's going to set your franchise back further than what it need to be. And now you're going to have to work double times harder to make up for the mistake you made, then get the franchise back on track to rebuild. And that's exactly what's going on in Carolina. They trying to half-ass do it instead of just starting all the way over and doing it. And now it's like the people done got impatient. You've been there long enough where you should have a winning product on the field. You shouldn't have these people sitting there looking at 5-win seasons when you done had plenty of time to bring the right people in there, spend the right money on the right people in free agency, make the right choices in drafting, and go about rebuilding this thing the right way and manage the cap better. Because you can't even afford to get nobody. You got a shitty-ass product out there on the field and you ain't got no cap space. What the hell did you spend your money on? That means somebody fucked up somewhere and overpaid for some players that they shouldn't have overpaid for, and you ain't getting the results that you should be getting from what you paid for the player that you brought in. Now, the offensive line is supposed to be what they emphasized this offseason. But looking at the game down there Sunday in New Orleans, it looked like shit. It looked the same this year as it did last year. There should be nobody having days off on a 2-win team. You only won 2 games last year. Let's not sit here and act like you won a division at 10 games. You only won 2. 1-2. That's it. I don't understand what was the reasoning for signing Miles Sanders. Why? You don't rebuild with a fucking running back. You get a running back in the draft. You already had Chuba Hubbard there. They just spent money because they had it available on a position and a player they didn't need to. What was Miles Sanders going to do for the Carolina Panthers last year? Why did the Philadelphia Eagles let him go in free agency? What could Miles Sanders do, or what could he have done for the Carolina Panthers last year from the running back position of a team that was supposedly rebuilding with a rookie quarterback? What could he have done? You're not going to win no time soon, so why waste and spend that money on a running back? Put that money into another position of need and go and get a bridge running back on a 1-year deal. Could have brought back Deontay Foreman on a 1-year deal. Who, by the way, when Steve Wilks took over, he played damn good. Why don't you bring him back on a 1-year deal? None of this shit you can make up. You can't make none of this shit up. Then on top of that, you didn't make a smart decision with Brian Burns. You talked all that shit about how you want to keep Brian Burns, how you was going to get a deal and a contract worked out to keep Brian Burns around in Charlotte. So that's what he was waiting on. He wanting. So if you David Tepper in the crew, you reportedly turned down 2 first-round picks in 2024 and 2024 first and 2025 first, and a 2025 second-round pick from the LA Rams. You reportedly turned that down because you wanted to keep Brian Burns, because you wanted to work out a long-term contract to keep him in Carolina. That's why you turned down a 2024 first, a 2025 first, and a 2025 second-round pick from the LA Rams. For Brian Burns, you declined that because you said you wanted to keep him in Carolina and get a deal worked out. Just to turn around and trade him to the New York Giants for a 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth-round pick. That makes absolutely no sense. You are a rebuilding team, and another contending team is willing to give you 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick for an edge rusher. And you are a rebuilding team that declined that from the LA Rams just to turn around and trade him to the New York Giants for a 2024 second and a 2025 fifth. You had a much better deal from the LA Rams than you did from the New York Giants. Why the hell, as a rebuilding team, you didn't take that deal from the LA Rams? Now, it was up once that deal went through, it was up to the LA Rams to figure out how they were going to pay Brian Burns. We no longer have nothing to do with that. You didn't go nowhere with Brian Burns. You're not going nowhere without him. So why the hell not trade him for the best deal? You knew damn well you ain't going to get a deal worked out with Brian Burns. So now you lose leverage and you have to settle for what the Giants offered you rather than take what the Rams offered you. There's no way in the hell I would have declined the LA Rams offer of a 2024 first, a 2025 first, and a 2025 second for Brian Burns. But turn around and say, well, we're gonna hang on to Brian Burns because we want to get a deal worked out to keep him around for the future of the Carolina Panthers. But then you turn around and trade him to the New York Giants for a 2024 second round pick and a 2025 fifth round pick. That makes absolutely no sense. Who in the hell in the front office has that thought process? They need to be fired. That made zero sense. No fucking sense in the world did that make. You say, yeah, there's nothing you can sit here and tell me to convince me that that made sense. Even if I did want to keep Brian Burns, if the LA Rams are throwing me 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, that thought of keeping Brian Burns would have went all the way out the fucking window. I would have been thinking like, oh, damn, we rebuilding. You know what we can do with 2 firsts and a second? You know the kind of talent we could put on this team with 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, plus our own pick? That would have helped us recruit picks back that we lost in the Bryce Young trade. High picks. We're not talking about 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. We're talking about 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. You declined that from the LA Rams because you wanted to get a deal worked out with Brian Burns and keep him around for the future of this Carolina Panther team. But then you turn around and trade him to the New York Giants for a 2024 second and a 2025 fifth round pick. That makes zero sense. There ain't no logic you can put together to tell me to make that make sense. None whatsoever. None. The highest offensive ranking the Carolina Panthers had since 2019 was 20th in the league. The highest defensive ranking they've had since 2019 is 19th in the league. This the kind of shit people in Carolina. This is the kind of shit that people in Charlotte, diehard Panther fans in Charlotte got to deal with. Well, myself too, because I'm not in Charlotte now, but I'm a fan. Like I said at the beginning, I got people there, not just friends that I just know temporarily, like lifelong friends and family that's born and raised there, from there, still living there. But this the kind of shit that's going on in these front offices, man. This kind of shit I'm trying to tell y'all. It makes absolutely no sense. I'm sitting here scratching my head trying to figure out how the hell the NFL ain't getting involved with this and putting this team on investigation. This right here is a reflection of the NFL. The NFL is the big umbrella, but each team is a branch up under that umbrella. And a branch up under that umbrella could be bad business. And that's what's going on here, bad business. Now, David Tepper, his wife is employed within the organization. I forget exactly what her title is, but I know she has a position over there in the front office. So I'm not sure who the hell signed off on that trade with the Chicago Bears to draft Bryce Young. I don't know, because if you look at the most recent Bama quarterbacks, they ain't been outside of Tua. They ain't done shit in the next level in the NFL. They ain't done a damn thing. Now, some people want to credit Jalen Hurts from coming from Bama. Some people want to credit from coming from Oklahoma. But he technically got drafted from Oklahoma. So he played at Bama, but when he got drafted, he came from Oklahoma as the Oklahoma draft pick. So, if you want to put him there, kudos, but technically he ain't come from Bama when it comes to the NFL draft. He's Oklahoma. But outside of Tua, they ain't done a damn thing with quarterbacks in the next level. Go back and look at the most recent quarterbacks outside of Tua and tell me which one of them is panning out in the NFL. But Bryce Young damn sure ain't panning out. Mac Jones ain't do shit. Tell me where I'm lying at. So was that really worth trading from 9 to 1 to get when you could have just stayed, did one or two things, stayed at 9 and made your selection, or trade back and made your and gained more and picked up more picks to plug more holes? You ain't winning shit anyway, so why not trade back, get more assets to plug more holes? Or just stay put where you at and take the best player available at 9. Because you were so fucking bad, you can't go wrong picking nowhere. It ain't a position that you could have went wrong picking at 9. Because you got holes every damn well on both sides of the ball. So you wouldn't have went wrong making a pick at any position on either side of the ball at 9. That's how bad you were. And you still bad. Then to make matters worse, his ass gonna go up on the damn ticket prices. How the hell you go 2-15 last year and feel like you deserve to go up on the ticket prices? You half-ass had people coming to the stadium last year when you was 2-15. So why the fuck would you increase the ticket prices? There were more people there to watch the opposing team come into town and play than it was the actual people from Charlotte for the Panthers. There were more colors in the stadium that are from other teams that were coming in than the damn Carolina Panthers fans. And then when you did see a lot of blue, it wasn't the damn fans. It was the fucking empty seats because the seats is blue. So don't get that confused with people wearing Panther colors. Look closely. Those were empty damn seats that were just painted blue. There weren't damn fans wearing Carolina blue. There were fans that weren't there that you were seeing the blue seats. It was empty. But somehow you felt the need to come into this season and increase the ticket prices. This is the same dude that was caught on camera throwing a drink at somebody in Jacksonville at the Jaguars game. Same dude. Now, I don't know what came out of that. If it was a lawsuit filed or if anything came out of that from that fan or whatever, but that was a drink he threw in that loss to Jacksonville. He was caught on camera throwing a drink at a Jags fan. I don't know what was said prior to the drink getting thrown, but the drink was thrown by David Tepper at the fan. The drink did land on the fan. So I don't know if the fan sued, what happened, what came out of that, this, that, and third. I don't know. But they got a lot of work to do down there in Carolina. I'm to the point now where he don't know how to run a team. He don't know how to start to build a team. He don't know who to hire to start building a team. Too much micromanaging going on over there. I'm the mindset now. You got to think about selling this shit because you going in the hole. Now I understand it's a long shot that he probably do it because once these NFL owners get to be owners, they not looking to sell their team quickly. They looking to obtain that ownership for longevity. So him only having his team 5-6 years or whatever, that around about 6 years or whatever, that's too short of a tenure to in the eyes of the owners to be in as an NFL owner. They looking to be in for the long haul. They looking to be there for years, but some got to give. You can't keep going down around and around like you're not going nowhere. The decision making is terrible. The personnel you spend on the field is terrible. The drafting is terrible. The free agent signings are terrible. There's really no identity of this team. You can't even look at this team and see what they trying to do as far as what they trying to start building, what they trying to do, what side of the ball they trying to start on, what are they trying to do. You can't even look at this team and be like, okay, well, I can see next year they're going to take another step because they good on this side of the ball. They good on that side of the ball. This player's good. That player's good. You can't even look at the team and tell that, bro. They just out there just taking up TV time and taking folks' money. That's exactly what they're doing because when you raise the prices, who the hell going to these games other than the opposing team that's coming in town or living there from somewhere else and is a fan of that team that'll probably pay to go see their team because it ain't a home game every week for them to go see their team. So who else the hell is paying for these damn prices? You're running the team through hell. You ain't ran them to hell. You ran them through hell. The shit is ugly in Charlotte, and it's sad. You got to get the people something to cheer about and look forward to because the damn Hornets ain't. And here you come doing the same old shit the Hornets doing, giving the city a bad rep when it comes to sports. You supposed to be an exception. The new guy in town is supposed to change things. But here you is following suit with the damn Hornets. Can't make none of this shit up. Can't make it up. Cannot make it up. But I'm about to get out of here, man. I'm fed. I'm so sick of going around in circles with this shit. It makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely none. But I'm gonna get out of here, man. Just make sure y'all go over there to YouTube, subscribe to the content, hit the notification bell so you get notified when new content drop. You can head over to IG, damn_YouTube_sports talk. That's where it's the sports page at on IG. If you click the link in the bio, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel that way too. Ralph_sneaks if you want to follow me, or go over to X, Twitter, Damn YouTube Sports Talk. It's all scrolling down at the bottom of the screen if you want to head over those platforms and follow. I follow back. Until the next episode, man, y'all be safe. Peace.